Hi. Today we're going to be talking about the 3 fundamental ways we have to be able to deal with people with. These are going to be the 3 things that we have to be thinking about if we're going to deal with anyone. We go through life knowing how to do certain things, acquiring certain skills. One of the skills we do not ever really acquire, which is probably the most vast skill, which has the most abundance of variables to it, that can change very quickly depending on the scenario. And that's how we deal with people. It's a very difficult thing to do, but we can learn how to do it. We can learn how to deal with people. I'm at my dad's house today. He lives up in Missouri, and I see how people just change depending on where I go. When I go to Texas, there's different people in Texas than when I come back home to Oklahoma. And then when I go to Missouri, people are just different. And to understand how to deal with these differences, it's very important. That's what I'm getting to. And there's lots of strategies, there's lots of tips and tricks and schemes and strategies and tactics on how to get cooperation and how to influence and win friends with other people and make it to where you are good with people. But there's 3 things that work fundamentally. That's what Dale Carnegie's saying in this book. And if we can just listen, put your ear to what the guy's saying. The guy's dead and gone now. He doesn't give a crap if you listen to him. He doesn't care about you. Only you can care about you. Only you can decide your fate. Let's look at what he says. Let's look at the value at which he can give you. If you really want to learn how to get a good job interview, if you want to learn how to be confident, if you want to learn how to be effective, an effective communicator, you're going to have to learn how to fundamentally handle people. And this is going to teach you. Let's start by the phrase, if you want to gather honey, don't kick the beehive. This is a very important phrase that you should probably memorize. I have memorized it. The phrase means when you're wanting to get cooperation with people, don't go and kick them. Don't be rude to them. Don't criticize them. Don't condemn them. Don't complain to them. Don't yell at them. Don't be brash, harsh, mean, rude, all the negative associations you could have, or appliance you could have. You can't be a critic to people's ideas if you want to fundamentally win them over. Okay? You can still criticize their ideas without literally saying it. You can do it in other forms. But on the surface, never yell at someone. Never critique them. Never be rude to them. Never critique them there's a critique of that phrase, and I don't mean that in a necessarily literal sense, but I mean it in a general sense. If someone disagrees with you, don't say, "Oh, you're totally wrong. Let me show you what I know. Let me explain to you how I know that I'm right." If you go and say that to anyone, they're going to not want to listen to you. So don't say that. If you want to win people's methodology, if you want to win their mindset over to you, you're not going. The number one way you're going to lose someone is by telling them that they're wrong, by kicking them. Imagine you're trying to get honey, and you're looking at a beehive, and you know that thing can give you pleasure or it can give you pain. And you have to say, okay, I have one shot at getting this. How am I going to get this? And you go and kick it. And then bees come out and they attack you. And you're like, what the crap? I was just trying to talk to him. Me and him were just having a good conversation. And then, I was he said that, Black Lives Matter is a terrible thing. And I said, well, let's think about this. Or I said, you're wrong. And he was like, oh, well, why could you say that? They're terrible people. When you come at it at that combative stance, that aggressive mindset, you're not going to get cooperation. So when you're trying to get cooperation and when you're trying to get friends out of people, the best way to do it is not, I can guarantee you, the best way to do it is not by attacking them first. It's going to be by talking to them, not attacking them, not criticizing, condemning, or complaining. That's principle number 1. Stop all the condemning, the complaining, the criticizing, the I know better than you. Be a listener. Listen. Don't criticize. And if you really feel tempted to criticize, think about it. Just think and say, what is this person doing wrong? How can I not do this ever so I do not sound this stupid? Because there's times that you will be tempted. And if you can be tempted and overcome that temptation, you will rule the world. I think or you will have something that's like this poet that I was reading the other day with my stepdad. Rudolph Kipling, I think he was, the guy who wrote The White Man's Burden. He wrote this poem, If, that's what it's called, and it says like, if you do, 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 like if you do blank, if you do blank, and if you do blank, and if you do blank, you will have the world and everything in it. And he says, if you can go through temptation, go through withdrawal, go through that pressure put upon you, and let it fall back, let it alleviate away, you are going to be able to survive. So if you can go through these moments where you feel like you want to criticize, it's like, I want to yell at this person so bad, but you can overcome that. You and I will become the master persuaders we are designed to be. Not designed to be, I'm mistaken there, but that we can be, and how we can succeed and become. Let's go to number 2. So number 1, again, be a nice person. Don't be a jackass. Don't be rude to people. Don't directly go after their opinions. Don't try to criticize them or complain or whatever. Remember, if you want to gather some honey, don't be kicking the beehive. Number 2, the biggest secret when you're trying to deal with people is finding what makes them feel good. Finding what makes them feel important. You and I have things that we love. I love some of my friends. I love playing video games. I love philosophy. I love politics. I love thinking in my thoughts. Reconciling with myself and thinking, is this rational? This is what makes me feel good. Now, this also can sound like habits of a hermit, but I don't really care. Now, that's my thoughts. But me as a communicator, I have to not really be thinking about myself. I have to think about, okay, what are your thoughts? What do you like, right? What makes you feel important? How can I make you want to talk to me by making you feel important? And the best way to do that is to give people a feeling of importance. Give them appreciation. Encourage them. Make them enthusiastic. Motivate them. And you can say, well, how do I do all this? Well, let me give you a couple scenarios. So let's say I want to let me read some passages out of the book that might help. Again, this is How to Win Friends and Influence People. It's by Dale Carnegie. It's a great book. I really recommend it. I probably can't get all of this in one video, but I might be able to. Okay. So yeah, really it's this. People want to be appreciated. People want to be noticed for what they do. If someone goes and builds a chair, and it's a good chair, and they worked hard on the chair, and they built this thing, and they built it just for you, and then you come back and complain about it, you're going to ruin this relationship. What you have to do is you have to be giving sincere appreciation. When your mother cooks and it's a good dinner, say it's a good dinner. If you're mowing the lawn and someone comes out and says, It's like this, yes. If you're mowing someone's lawn, right, and they come out and say, hey, thanks, it really looks really good. You know, here's a little tip, here's a little extra because you're doing such a good job. That makes you feel great, right? You have to do that to everyone you meet. I know that sounds like it sucks, and it kind of does, but that's what we're going to have to do if we mean you want to be a communicator, a good communicator. We're going to have to appreciate, in genuine appreciation as well. It's not praise. Praise is not genuine. The difference between praise and appreciation is one is genuine. So when you appreciate someone and you show appreciation, you have to do it, again, genuinely. So I'll give you another example. Let's say that me and you and I are playing a video game, okay? And I'm not doing very good, right? What you need to do is find a way to praise, or not to praise, but to appreciate me in some fashion. Not by saying, you're doing that wrong, hey, watch out for that, watch out for that. Instead saying, whenever you do see them do something good, point it out, be like, dang, that was a good jump, right? So what you need to do is look for those instances where people do the right things, where people make the right decisions, where they're doing the good, the best they can, the right way, and then point it out. Be like, that was a good job, that was a good jump. Man, you see that shot? He landed that perfectly. Dude, you got second place on Fortnite. We were so close to winning. You almost beat that dude. Well, to try again, right? When you can motivate and you know, you see how the dialogue that I'm conveying. I'm not condemning the person. I'm not being rude to the person. I'm talking to the person, and I am communicating in a way that's going to make them want to do more with me because I am being enthusiastic, motivating, and I'm appreciating whatever they do. Most people never get praised. So the few individuals like me and you who can do this will win. It's so important. We have to be doing this. So, first point, don't kick the honey. Don't kick the beehive if you want some honey. Don't criticize, complain, be rude. That's the most basic principle. Don't do this. Instead, look for the good in what people do and point that out. Be motivating. Bring enthusiasm to the conversation. Make people motivated and give sincere appreciation. If you see someone failing a test over and over and over and over, the worst thing to do is to point out the failures. The best thing to do is to point out their successes. If you kick a fox to make him change his behavior, he'll hate you and he'll probably bite you back. But if you give a fox a candy for the time that he does good, you'll get a treat out of it, or you'll get better cooperation. So let's go to the last fundamental point, which probably is going to be one of the hardest things for you to do. But, you know, I think my demographic probably has to encompass people who are of higher intelligence. So I'm sure that you, and I'm not saying that honestly, I'm not saying that because I think that I'm smart, but to look up a search that is going to be titled how to communicate more efficiently or whatever I title this as, you have to be looking to self-improve. And I think having self-awareness and wanting to improve yourself has to have some contingency of intelligence. Okay, here we go. The last fundamental technique in dealing with people, it's going to be revolved around how do you get people to do things, right? If you want to get your kid to stop smoking, how do you get them to stop smoking? If you want to get your kid to be a virgin until they get married, how do you do that? If you want to get someone to do something, how do you do it? And the only way I can tell you to do it that I know is by giving them what they want, looking at what they want, looking at their interests, and then giving it to them. I'll give you an example. If you're going fishing, I'll give you a little analogy. If you're gonna go fishing, this is right out of the book as well. A lot of my analogies that I'm phrasing or I'm quoting, a lot of the analogies that I'm saying, I'm kind of quoting, you know, paraphrasing essentially from the book. You know, if me and you were gonna go fishing, I love avocados, but I know the fish don't like my avocados, so I'm not gonna give them avocados. They like worms for some reason. So what am I going to do as a fisherman? I'm going to hook worms to my hook, and I'm going to cast that out there. But me and you, we can't do that. We can't cast out avocados into our conversations. Think about it like this. If me and you are talking, and I come off as, hey, want to hear about my job interview that I just got? You're going to be like, what? I mean, yeah, sure. You know, but I'm not going to want to listen. Because I threw out my avocado to you, which you could like pizza. And the thing that I need to do is bake some pizza and throw that pizza out to you, right? Talk about and think about it's the principle. It's always about the other person's interests and their wants. What do the other person want? What is their interest? What are their ideals? What do they need? And if you can understand these, you can influence anyone. I'll give you an example. If you want to get someone to stop smoking and they're a cheerleader, the best way to do it is not going to go and say to the cheerleader, hey, you really should stop smoking because it's bad for you, and eventually you're going to die from it, right? Saying stuff like that is not good because they don't care. A cheerleader's not going to care about that. But the way to do it is to say, hey, I was looking up this statistics on smoking, and I don't know if you knew this, but almost like 90% of cheerleaders, that smoke don't succeed. So I know that, kind of just leave it at that. Make them think about it. Don't directly point out and criticize them. And as you can see, is what I was doing was I was looking at the principle. I was looking at, okay, what are their interests? What do they like? And after I figured out what they liked, I used that to influence them. Again, if I wanted to get a cow to follow me, am I going to push the cow? Or am I going to give the cow some honey and make it follow me because I'm giving it some honey? You're going to give it the honey. You never want to be pushing cows. Feed cows. Give them stuff. Don't make them come to you. Don't throw out your avocado shell and make them come to you. Throw out your pizza to where they want to come. So be thinking about these. First principle is, don't criticize, don't condemn, don't complain, don't be rude, don't force people, don't yell at people. Be a cordial, amiable person, a nice, happy, friendly guy that likes to talk to people. Second thing is, I forgot what the second thing is. I'm sorry. Okay, the second thing is instead of yelling at people for what they do wrong, give appreciation for what they do right. Make them feel important by telling them how they're right. Number 3, if you want to get anyone to do anything, you got to make them want to do it. Give them, incentivize them through their incentives. Give them what they want. If we can do these 3 things, not being a dick, giving praise and appreciation, not praise, but giving appreciation, and looking at what the other person wants and using that to persuade them, we can become great communicators, and we can influence and win friends and influence people. Thank you for watching the video.